Hey guys, and welcome back to, well, another lousy, gloomy, cloudy day here in Ottawa. The sun we had the other day is now completely gone, so we're back to overcast, and more overcast. And today's episode is about a pair. I'll do two cars. A pair of lousy cars that I've had. Now, I bought these cars essentially while my VR6 was essentially sleeping for the winter, and I needed something to go to work and back with. So the first car that I bought, I thought, okay, maybe it'd be interesting. I never driven a Swedish car. I bought a 96 Volvo 960. And so it was an inline 6. I believe it's a 2.9 liter inline 6. It's supposed to make okay power, and it was a bigger car, but it was in really nice, clean shape on the outside and in. So I figured the person was asking $1,200. We negotiated a price of $900, so why not? So I went ahead and I bought that 96 960, and it came with winter tires, so it was an extra bonus. I didn't care for the all seasons. It was kind of like a maroon burgundy color, almost like a dark red, and the interior was this very plush fabric material that, anyways, I did not like it. But it did come equipped with most of the other options. I think the only thing that the car was missing was leather, so it was nicely equipped aside from that. And I think if it had leather, I might have kept it, and I am picky with the seating surface I'm on, and I really don't like plush seats. So, but again, I bought the car. It had 111, I think, 1,000 miles on it, so it was higher mileage. And I drove it for exactly 2 weeks before I ended up selling it. And the reason I sold it is because I figured I might be able to get some good money for it. And I listed it, and I ended up selling it, I believe, for either $2,200 or $2,500. So it was a nice profit for something that I've only had 2 weeks. And I didn't even bother doing anything, or not even cleaning it. So inside, the car was grandpa style. So it was very gray and plain. It did have a few buttons, and the stereo was okay, but it did have this issue that the person told me when I was selling it. On occasion, you can't turn it on unless you play with the transmission stick to make sure that it's in park. So it was like a lockout switch. So, but I figured I'll live with it. I'll just fidget with it, and that happened a couple of times, but it was not really a huge problem. I figured the worst case comes, I'll take apart the console there, and I'll figure out what's causing the issue. And after 2 weeks of ownership, the car was very thirsty on gas. It did run nice, but it was not for me. So I sold that, and snow was coming, and I needed another set of wheels quickly. So the only thing I was able to find, and I actually paid $400 for this car, and I drove it actually through the whole winter, and it came with winter tires, was 2003 Buick Century. So I went from one grandpa car to something even more grandpa-like. And this car came with the 3.3 liter General Motor. The car drove, I'd say boat, but I think boat has a little more control. This was more like, I see a curve coming up, I'm going to start steering now and hopefully go around the corner. But for the winter through the snow, it was not too bad. You go faster with it through snowbanks, and you don't care because you paid $400 for it. So you're just pretty much looking, what can I do without getting hurt to get through the snow? So I didn't really care about anything. And when it started getting warmer, the car started to overheat a little bit. But I figured I could care less, as long as it gets me until it gets warm enough so I can drive the VR6 again. So that's the story with that second car, the Buick Century. And again, just like the other one, it was fabric seats, plain interior, horrible sound system. The only thing that I had, again, I didn't really care for, was dual zone climate controls. I'm not sure why they would have that in a Buick Century, because it's not a fancy car. And it was the custom model, which I'm guessing custom is another way of saying base, because I don't think the vehicle had a single option that was not standard on all those Centuries. So at the end of that ownership of that Century, I ended up trading that Century in to get new tires for my Touareg. So I gave the car to a friend, and in turn he got me a pair of tires for my Touareg. So I kind of broke even with that value there, and I got rid of it, and I went back to my VR6, and I was happy after that. So anyhow, this was a very short video about my ownership of a 96 Volvo 960 and my 2003 Buick Century. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you didn't fall asleep, and see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.